Hey, LinkedIn, and welcome to Business Unusual. This is a live show where we talk about the changing nature of work. I'm Susie Jackson. I'm a news editor at LinkedIn, coming to you today to have a conversation about changes in the online fitness industry during the pandemic. We will speak to the co-founders of Obé Fitness, which provides live and on-demand home workouts, about how the crisis is shaping their business. But first, it's August 26th, and here's a quick look at the top stories professionals are talking about today. Unrest in Wisconsin escalating last night. Police say 3 people were shot and 2 died on the third night of protests over the shooting of Jacob Blake. Details are forthcoming about who fired the shots. Meanwhile, attorneys for Blake's family say he is paralyzed from the waist down. LinkedIn members are also talking about the travel industry today. American Airlines and Delta both announcing job cuts. American will shed 19,000 workers in October. That is nearly 14% of its workforce. And Delta will furlough nearly 2,000 pilots. At the same time, the industry is pushing for more federal aid. For more stories like these, check out the LinkedIn News module to the right of your newsfeed on your desktop or on mobile by clicking into the search box. That brings us to our main story today. When coronavirus lockdowns began, some in the fitness industry were among the hardest hit. Very much in-person businesses, gyms and studios were forced to close their doors, and many scrambled to offer services online to make ends meet. Months later, working out at home is becoming the new normal for many. A survey by the New York Times found 40% of respondents saying they were taking more walks and breaks in this remote work world, and 33% said they were exercising more. But not everyone in the fitness industry had to scramble to meet this moment. Today, I'm going to speak with the co-founders of Obé Fitness. The company launched in 2018 and provides live and on-demand fitness classes you can do at home. We'll speak about what this rapid change in the culture has meant to their business and where fitness is heading. But first, I want to hear from you. What's been your experience with your COVID workout plan? Stress and uncertainty are high, and the mental and physical well-being that comes from exercising has been a lifeline for many. I want to know, have you tried fitness apps? Have you met friends outside for safely distanced workouts? Are you trying new things? Are you falling out of good habits and maybe into bad ones? Talk to me, talk to each other in the comments. We're going to get to as many of your thoughts and questions on the show as we can today. With that, I want to welcome the co-founders of Obé Fitness, Ashley Mills and Mark Mullet. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Susie.
Ashley, I want to start with you. Tell us about Obé. You were 100% online before the pandemic even began. Has that given you a leg up as other fitness providers have scrambled to move into the space?
Yeah, so we are a 2.5-year-old company. We've been producing live daily content, 14 live classes a day, 7 days a week, for our entire existence. And so when the pandemic hit and the shelter-in-place order came, obviously we were able to quickly spring into action. We have a very scrappy team. It's a very lean team, and so we were deemed an essential business 4 days into the shelter-in-place order. And there were some sort of like changes that we had to do from a protocol perspective, and we have COVID compliance leaders on our production team. And so we were able to quickly figure out the right protocols to keep our talent safe and our production safe. So again, we've been able to continue producing live content, continuing to entertain people, to keep people sane, to keep people strong during this obviously very difficult period.
Sanity is a huge one. I think it's something that we could all use a little bit more of now. Mark, I'm interested. You've had this advantage because you were already fully online. How do you feel like you can maintain that as more providers are trying to get into this space?
Yeah, absolutely. As Ashley said, we launched over 2.5 years ago, and I honestly put many years into building Obé even prior to launch, right? So when the pandemic hit and we saw a flood of new people wondering how they were going to take their daily movement routine home, we were ready for that. We were ready to receive all these new folks and help them get settled into sort of their new world. I think over the past couple months, we've realized that people are changing their behaviors. You have as many as 40% of consumers working out at home for the first time, as many as 20 million gym memberships canceled. People are realizing over these past months that not only can they get a great workout, they can have a really cool experience where they're meeting new people, trying new things every single day, saving money and saving time. You're avoiding that sort of 10 to 15 to 20 minute commute to the studio, the 10 or 15 minutes prior, those 10 or 15 minutes after, and obviously that commute home. And at Obey, we're $27 a month for unlimited classes, and we really lean into variety, right? So for $27 a month, which is less than the cost of, say, a spin class here in New York City, you have the ability to do anything you want from home, as much as you want, and that value and time proposition is real.
So shaving off a few minutes here and there, I think, was important when we were all commuting, but even more so now that work and life are all bleeding together, trying to get that time in is really important. I know community is a big part of what you do, and I want to take a moment to say hello to some of the community here on Business Unusual who are joining us. We have Greg from New York City. Welcome to the show. Megan from Texas. Dawn from Los Angeles. Albert from Florida. Robert from Chicago. Thank you for joining us today. So staying on that community thread, Ashley, I want to talk about that. These are virtual classes, but I know community has been a big part of your success. Have you seen the community supporting each other differently during this pandemic? And what, if anything, are you at Obey doing to support them as well?
Absolutely. So when we launched Obey, community was really the cornerstone of what we wanted to build. The great thing about incredible fitness experiences is they allow you to feel something, to relieve a lot of the stress that that you find during your daily life, and it allows you to connect. And so when we cast our instructors, we cast people who we know our audience is going to relate to, and really it is everyone. We have a Goldman Sachs banker who is an instructor for us. We have a gentleman who's lost 100 pounds on his weight loss journey. Obey really is for everybody. And so we make sure to cast in that way. From a community perspective, our members really have a great bond and relationship with our instructors. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we do live shout outs in class. And so if you're tuning in live, you hear your name called out, there's nothing more primal than that experience. And you automatically sort of, feel connected to the other people that are working out with you, and certainly to the instructor. We have community features on our platform. So people, they send in their sweaty selfie after class, they connect pre and post class in our private Facebook group. And then we find that people are connecting in that Facebook group throughout the day. And they connect on things like our themed classes, something great an instructor said, something fun that we're doing. We just did a really exciting partnership with HBO Max. They came to us when they were launching their platform, and they asked us to create classes for Sex and the City and Game of Thrones, which obviously our audience loves. And so it's these kinds of moments and these ways of bringing joy into people's lives that they can then connect on, that are so powerful and are the glue, I think, that really bonds the community. The other thing that's sort of interesting to note, right before COVID hit, the weekend actually before COVID hit, we had a retreat in New York City. And we we put out 60 tickets. They were sold out in 5 minutes. And when people showed up at our office to see the studio on that first night, the big welcoming event, we were worried, like, what is this going to feel like? We know all of these people so well on social media, but what's it going to be like to meet in person? And it was the nicest surprise. It felt like a high school reunion. The bonds that people create on our platform are so real, and they're really, really meaningful.
That's great to hear about connection, especially as lockdown started and people felt really disconnected from one another. Layla in the stream agreeing, saying that the community mentality that online group fitness is so important, that nothing is more motivating than sharing the experience. Mark, let's stay on community for a minute. You have this great relationship with these folks. Have they asked you for anything different during the pandemic? And how have you been able to pivot and respond in a really stressful time as everyone's remote and probably your staff is remote as well?
Absolutely. I mean, COVID was an exercise in a lot of things at a basic, human level, but the art of the pivot was certainly one of them as it relates to, business and routine. In addition to distributing our workforce and creating sort of a bubble, a skeletal production crew, and talent team in our office as an essential service with safety of the utmost importance, our team had to deal with working remotely while also making sure that everybody in studio stayed safe. And also we're producing new content, right? Part of what we do, again, every day with 14 live classes a day, adding 4 new classes on demand every day, is really lean into variety and topicality. Our whole, thesis around fitness is that you want to move in a different way every day. You don't want the same sequencing. You don't want the same words from the instructor. You don't want the same playlist. The list goes on. And that's a huge priority for us at Obey. So, we not only pivoted as a business in that way, but we noticed that we had a lot of people coming in from all walks of life. We had people with young kids at home who were no longer at school, obviously, and they needed to move as part of their PE class. We added kids programming with our partner Kids Bop. We added free programming for seniors, really stability-focused programming, a lot of chair-related movement. And we actually put that in front of our paywall, knowing that maybe some of our members or the parents or friends of our members needed movement wherever they were as well, from a seniors and stability perspective. I think on the community front, the people that you meet along the way on your wellness journey are some of the closest friends that you can make. I have to tell you that some of my closest friends I've met through fitness experiences across the board, specifically through Obey. And I think Ashley will agree that that's been one of the most rewarding things that has happened from what we're building. But we are a technology company, and from a community perspective on our roadmap, that is what we are most excited about. Some of the bells and whistles that we are creating around class and community in the weeks and months to come, we're just so excited about. It's a way to further bring people together in their wellness routine through our content and through our message, which is basically work out, but have fun doing it, and don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, and we've got Caroline in the stream agreeing with you about how fun it is to be together with folks. She said she wouldn't have survived this pandemic without her Peloton. Did a class last night with 3 friends, and it was really fun. We also have a lot of fitness instructors joining us in the stream today. We have Emily, who says online teaching has made me more aware of weaknesses I didn't know I had as a Pilates teacher, noting how difficult it is to teach that kind of exercise to groups of people when it's such a high touch in-person thing. Charles says he's teaching virtual classes 3 to 4 times a week, but knows deep down inside that he will miss the interaction between humans. And Alex says virtual has become the new normal. I train clients virtually and they seem to love it. We have learned to give really effective workouts from home with limited access to equipment. Ashley, I want to talk a little bit about entertainment. You two met while working as Hollywood talent agents. And I know you spoke to my colleague, Victoria Taylor, a while back for her newsletter called You've Got This. You told her that we didn't leave the entertainment business. We brought entertainment to the wellness business. I'm really curious about that, about entertainment. What other businesses could learn from that? It's a time where lots of new businesses are getting into the online game and vying for customers' attention. Do you think that they should be thinking of themselves as entertainment businesses?
Yeah, so when you think about the at-home fitness category, there's a lot of content, and I will just call it content. It's not premium content. And what we were looking to do, sort of leaving the agency world and entering sort of this next phase in our careers, was to create a really immersive experience where that would democratize great boutique fitness experiences and bring them to people sort of wherever they are. And what we learned from entertainment is how important high-end production values are. Great casting, so talent that makes you feel something, that really connects with you across the screen. It's multiple camera angles that are edited in real time. It's the shout out, it's the audio levels. There's so much that goes into making a great television show or a great movie. And we've applied that skill set to at-home fitness. And I think it's one of our biggest differentiators and one of the reasons that people really stay on and it's become so sticky.
So staying on the entertainment angle for a moment, you are producing entertainment and that requires people and studios and cameras and lights. Mark, talk to us about how you're keeping the production staff safe.
Yeah, so again, the minute our world started changing in early March, we put in a system of protocols in the office, which basically kept as few people in the office as possible, all way more than 6 feet apart, in addition to wearing the proper PPE. We have separate entrances for talent, and yesterday, for example, we were looking at additional space in our building to make sure that when it's time to bring our team in whatever form that takes over the months and year to come, we can still keep that production studio very separate, again, very distanced, and make sure that people are sort of abiding by best practices therein.
Okay, and we have Alicia in the stream here appreciating that, saying that my family room is now my preferred gym, a large screen for workouts. Florencia says that she takes her Zoom meetings with her dog on a daily basis, so good to see some people getting out of the home gym living room as well. Monica says, as much as I've adapted to Zoom training and online classes, it's not the same. Now that I've been training outside in parks, the energy and motivation is so much higher from my clients. They keep each other accountable and more likely to not skip. I'm curious about that, coming back to the relationship between instructor and clientele. How are your instructors? You've been online the whole time. How are they kind of approaching that connection with folks? You mentioned the shout outs. And are they themselves seeing anything different in terms of that interaction now that the pandemic has kind of piqued interest?
So we've always, in an effort to democratize great fitness experiences, it's never been about, just catering to a New York audience or LA audience or, wherever it is. What we do at Obey with the shout outs and also the way that we connect with people on social. So after class, the CTA is to post a sweaty selfie and tag the instructor and tag Obey. And that really creates a really important dialogue that happens all the time. The other important thing that we do to create accountability is we have a scheduler on our live schedule. So you can, and the whole reason that our live schedule is the way that it is, and the reason that we do 14 live classes a day and we have 12 different class types is because you need to keep it fresh for yourself every single day. And obviously the entertainment value, as we say, also helps with that. But it's all of these little things that make it so that people show up day after day. And what I can tell you, having done this for 2.5 years, is that we've had a lot of people who have come to us from boutique studios, from going to traditional gym settings. Something changed in their life and they needed to work out from home. Those people do stick around and their engagement is very, very high. Just to give you a little bit of context, our average member takes 14 classes a month and our top 20% take 40 classes a month. So when you think about that, 40 classes a month, that's people are doubling up on many days and they're working out with us every single day. So it works and the accountability works. And if you engage with our community, you get the same, sort of the same effect that you would in person.
14 classes a day sounds like manageable. 40, I'm very impressed by those people. Congratulations. We have Kanika in the stream saying that for her, March and April were her best months fitness-wise. So that's really when things were very stressful. It's great, Kanika. Saying she worked out almost every day, but fell back into it kind of on again, off again routine. Matthew says everyone interacts with fitness differently. Some thrive in person, some prefer convenience from home. And he thinks it's great to see so many options. And speaking of so many options now, I want to talk for a minute about corporate fitness programs. Mark, we used to see companies providing, some of the best companies at least, providing gyms on site, providing wellness classes, or at least reimbursement for that kind of thing. What are you seeing in terms of that space now that so many people are home and they're not really coming back anytime soon?
Yeah, a lot of companies are still looking to provide wellness related perks and incentives to their workforces. And that's something that we've been trying to tackle over the past couple months at Obey. At the end of the day, when you can't go work out at your local Pilates studio or whatever your norm was, you have to adapt. And I think that these corporate programs need to adapt as well. So, what I can say is we've been in the throes of discussion around that. Anybody who's watching now who has a corporate wellness program and wants to talk to us, hit us up on LinkedIn. We'd love to discuss it. We're having a lot of conversations like that now, and it's exciting. Again, the value is there to be able to say for $27 a month, you can have unlimited variety-filled exercise experiences for all levels. Is really, really enticing, and we'd love to really expand that offering at Obey as far as our relationship with other businesses.
Yeah, and Brandon here in the stream is saying that he thinks this is how, changed how people behave, that online fitness is going to be huge. He says he knows a lot of people who are thinking, I actually like doing virtual fitness, especially those 40 class a month folks, and thinks that they'll probably keep doing it. Ashley, I'm interested. The pandemic is still raging on. It doesn't seem like we're going to go back to our old normal. What do you think that means as people develop this more hybrid, working from home, maybe working a little bit from the office? And what does that mean for their fitness? Do they have to find a new hybrid state? Where do you see your business going?
Yeah, I think that the longer this goes on, the more, habit formation happens. I think, as Mark mentioned in the beginning of this, 40% of all consumers tried at-home fitness for the first time in April. So when you think about what that means from like a technology adoption perspective, it means that it sped up at-home fitness, obviously in a very major way. And I think that we're going to see, I'm sure some people will go back to gyms and boutique classes, but I think it will be exactly what you said, Susie. It's going to be more of a hybrid. So obviously there are those people who will choose all virtual, and there are people who will choose all, going somewhere. But I think there's going to be a lot more people who add at-home fitness to their fitness regimen, and they might do, a yoga class that they love, and where there's an instructor that they really care for. and people in those classes that they know. But I think that there are going to be, the larger piece of the pie will be at-home fitness, again, because it is really convenient and it's really cost effective. And then, if people do want to have an in-person experience, they'll add that on as well. But I think it will become, at-home fitness is going to become a much larger piece of the pie. Obviously, it already has.
Well, we can't talk about pie and not be talking about at-home fitness as well, as they kind of go hand in hand. I want to thank you two so much for joining us today. I think it's been really interesting to hear about your business and how the pandemic is shaping it, and also where we're going with this in the future, this more hybrid world, this more convenient world. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Ashley Mills and Mark Mullett, co-founders of Obé Fitness.
Thanks, Susie.
For having us, Susie.
And thank you all for joining us. We've had a lot of great comments and questions in the stream today. I hope you come back tomorrow at noon Eastern. My colleague Caroline Fairchild will be chatting with the co-founder of WhatsApp and encryption messenger app Signal about staying secure while working from home. You can find a link to that in the description of the show, or in the comments. You'll see my colleagues Stephen and Juliet dropping in a link to where you can go and find that show scheduled for tomorrow. It's a conversation you won't want to miss. This has been Business Unusual. I'm Susie Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us.